In the opening scene, we learn that a havoc has spread across the globe, and the scientists term it as a solar crisis. As the sun becomes an expanding red giant, it threatens to engulf the Earth within 100 years. To avert this catastrophe, the United Nations, now known as the United Earth Government, or the UEG, introduces the Moving Mountain Project. The primary goal of this project is to build 10,000 massive nuclear fusion engines that can propel the Earth out of the solar system towards another habitable star system. Despite the project's noble intent, it is completely idiotic, and its high operational costs and excessive resource consumption cause riots and protests from people who don't care about tragedy that isn't happening yet. The protests get even more intense when the UG shuts down and bans the Digital Life Project, or the DLP, one that proposes continuing human civilization through digital immortality by developing mind-uploading technologies. In retaliation, the well-armed DLP constantly hacks and throws terrorist attacks at the UEG. At one point, the UEG notices the people are losing faith in their project and considers stopping it. However, a Chinese ambassador named convinces everyone to carry on. As the first part of the Moving Mountain Project, the Lunar Exile program is initiated that focuses on pushing the Moon away from the Earth. For this, it utilizes 3 fusion engines in order to minimize the Moon's gravitational pull. Many people are being trained as astronauts for this task. One of them is Liu Peking, who arrives at the space elevator base, surrounded by the protesters. The armed guards are on duty to prevent these protesters from entering the area. However, one of them somehow manages to break in, but he is soon subdued by a trainee astronaut named Han Ho. Liu is instantly captivated by her and already imagines the future with her. Surely the chances of this are decent in a world where pushing the Moon with rockets helps fix a problem with the sun. Following this, the new trainees are escorted to the space elevator for their first task. This elevator is the highest structure in human history that provides a glimpse of space to the trainees as they get on board. It goes up so fast that many of them faint on the way. As the days pass by, they are trained in various subject matters, such as hand-to-hand combat, firearm use, and frequent elevator trips, until they don't pass out anymore. They're also put through medical tests and exercises to make sure they're in peak physical condition. During their training, Liu and Han develop a close bond and enjoy one another's company. One day, he bribes the guards with some packs of cigarettes to allow him to bring a flower bouquet inside the base. They happily accept the cancer from the simp. He then gives it to Han, but it leads to an awkward moment as they're washed by everyone. On the same day, a new set of trainees arrives at the base and joins the previous group at the space elevator. Unexpectedly, all the drones begin to fly on their own, and the engineers discover that their system has been hacked. Soon after, the drones open fire at the base, forcing the guards to fire back at their own tech. In defense, the UEG deploys several fighter planes to take down the hacked drones, but airplanes won't aim at them because they're detected as allies. In the meantime, the trainees are trapped in one of the space elevators that goes up ahead of schedule. Jun starts stealing the ideas of the former trainees. Shortly after, Liu uses his glasses to make the sun burn the lock screen, causing the door to open. He then starts fighting the infiltrator. There's one after another. A while later, with the help of which he knocks out all of the intruders. Back at the base, the scientists bring the 550, the latest intelligent quantum computer that finally counteracts the hacking. However, it's too late, as the hijackers have successfully managed to attach a missile to one elevator, thanks to counterfeit passes. As a result, the top of the space elevator and the Ark space station are critically damaged and crashed down to Earth. This results in irreparable damage to the base and many of the trainees. In this process, Liu jumps on top of Han and shields her from any harm, but not from the protrusion in his pantaloons. In the aftermath of this event, the base is evacuated, while the news reports confirm the loss of over 3,000 lives. Riots intensify in the following weeks. Because of all the death and resource depletion, public demand increases for the reinstatement statement of the DLP. Due to this attack, many countries working on the pilot program pull out, leaving China alone, take on finishing construction of the lunar and Earth engine. Joe instructs his assistant to deliver the speech. He's prepared, urging faith in the project, while he engages in discussions with the American ambassador to convince him to give them a chance to see. Then cuts to the moon, where the Lunar Exile pilot program is in progress. There a computer engineer named Takangyu wakes up from his hibernation pod and proceeds to inspect the systems. He also sets up his quantum computer called AI-550, coincidentally also the name of Elon Musk's 36th son, that enables him to watch a video of his late daughter, Yaya, recorded 5 years ago. And you, formerly associated with the DLP, had managed to record and store his daughter's consciousness on a hard drive, with his mentor and project lead, Mo Zhao, bearing the responsibility. Hangyu now aspires to transform Yaya's brief video clip into a complete AI form. For this, he opts using the newer 550, but is outright rejected by Zhao afterwards. The two do the first testing of 550 by activating each sector of the base. While they wait for the computer to do its thing, Zhao gives Hangyu a digital copy of his mind, which the company confiscated when they banned the DLP. Zhao explains that it's up to him if he wants to destroy it or not. Sometime later, the system detects an incoming solar storm, forcing all the workers to rush back to the base. They drive their vehicles as fast as they can and manage to enter the base moments before the storm hits. But unfortunately, the AI-550C gets damaged in this process. Since they need a quantum computer to launch the project, Hangyu offers to use his 550A in return. He asks Zhao to involve him in all the future developments of the 550 series, hoping that he'll have a chance to give Yaya a complete life. As soon as Zhao accepts, Hangyu transfers his daughter's consciousness recording to a desk before handing over his AI computer. 3 days later, the team tests the engines, and after moments of tension, they're delighted to witness a slight angular displacement of the moon. This proves that in 20 years, they'll be able to push the moon away. Lately, the success restores people's faith in the project. Several months later, another test of the engine, this time on Earth. At first, all the screens go black and people think it's failed, but suddenly the ground shakes and a bright beam emanates from the astronaut base. Not long after, the UG scientists angular displacement, bringing immense joy to the populace. After successful trials of both the lunar engine, the UEG grants full go-ahead to the Moving Mountain project. As the mission progresses, it officially gets renamed as the Wandering Earth. Over the next 14 years, more than 7,000 engines are constructed, including torque engines that slow down the Earth's rotation, making it 60 hours per day. Furthermore, the subterranean cities are built under every engine in order to provide shelter for ordinary citizens for the anticipated 25-year interstellar journey. However, there is also talk about a certification plan in which only 50% of the world's population can gain a spot in the underground city, and the requirements to get a pass are quite discriminatory. As time goes on, the solar crisis becomes more and more imminent, evidenced by spikes in solar radiation. All kinds of weather disasters soon hit the planet, like floods. Moreover, the people also suffer from increased cancer cases due to solar radiation. On the other hand, Liu is married Han, and they now have a son named Qi. Like other people, they are also worried about getting the passes for the underground cities. To make matters worse, Han has been diagnosed with cancer in the meantime, and Yu never stops working on the is AI warm, while also helping with the development of the newest and most advanced 550 series iteration called 550, otherwise known as the common light bulb. One day, Liu, who is now secured the rank of Major, is summoned for an interview to determine his eligibility for a pass. The interview is doctored by an offline AI-equipped 550 who acknowledges Liu's impressive skills but suggests he stay on Earth to care for his family. Despite this, Liu makes a tough decision to accept the past because it's the only way to take his son to the subterranean cities. through preferential policy. The scientists in charge of the project are watching the interview from the other room, and Lee's affection towards his son reminds Hangyu of his daughter. The AI also suggests that it's better not to fight for the past for Lee's wife, predicting her passing in 83 days. Unfortunately, this infuriates Leo, and he ends up yelling at the scientists, resulting in him failing the test outright. Later on, he spends time with Hon, who is now hospitalized. As they converse, Hon expresses her wish to see her hometown one last time. Hearing this, Leo arranges for a jet plane from a fellow comrade and takes her to her hometown. After a while of joyful flight, they landed Shanghai, which is now turned into a frozen wasteland that night. While gazing at the stars, Han says that when the time comes, she wants to die with dignity and not with a bunch of wires and pipes connected to her. Meanwhile, at the base, Hangyu, having been influenced by Liu Peking's outburst, decides to upload Yaya's recorded consciousness into the 550 supercomputer. As a result, Yaya finally starts conversing with him. "Daddy, I can see your cognito search history," breaking him down into tears. However, right after the upload, the lunar engines experience an overload, resulting in an explosion that propels the moon on a collision course with Earth. The guards then use tasers to subdue Hangyu and arrest him for his unlawful act. Ju is near the ocean when it happens. As a consequence of the explosion, a tsunami grows in size and hits the land. Recognizing the impending danger, he issues an emergency alert to leaders all over the globe. Yu also gets notified of this emergency and is summoned back to duty. Meanwhile, the UEGS is there, 500 supercomputers to avert the danger, but to no avail. As a result, they resort to opening the underground cities to let people land. Before Liu leaves for the mission, Halt succumbs to her illness, and their son is taken to the underground city by his grandfather. Afterwards, Joe talks at the VG, asking for their support for his emergency plan. He wants to detonate all of the Earth's nuclear weapons on the moon to induce nuclear fusion within its core, leading to closure. No government has ever revealed how many nuclear weapons they have in their arsenal because it's confidential, and nobody likes revealing the size of their nuclear PP, but for the first time in history, it doesn't matter. Convinced by this plan, everyone agrees to hand in what they have in order to save world elsewhere. Zhao visits the imprisoned Hangyu to tell them that they'll be activating Earth's engines soon, so they need to reactivate the global internet to allow coordinated detonation control. One of the servers is now submerged underwater, and Shao wants Hangyu to handle it. When the latter tries to refuse, Shao blackmails him with using the disk with Yaya's digital consciousness, as if he hasn't uploaded a backup. By this point, due to the lunar debris forming an asteroid belt around the moon, the best pilots are chosen to transport the nuclear weapons, including Liu. Simultaneously, 3 teams are dispatched to recover the missing internet servers located in Beijing, Tokyo, and Gulas. Not long after, the chosen pilots leave for the moon, trying their best to dodge the incoming asteroids. Along their way, despite their best efforts, some shovels get hit, causing them to crash. This leads the team to lose 200 warheads, only leaving 180 for detonation. Shortly after these shuttles and crashes on the moon's surface, the survivors immediately search for tape to fix their helmets and bandage any wounds. Following this, they decide to deliver the remaining warheads on foot. Leo, prioritizing his teammates' safety, uses an abandoned lander to send them back to the base, while he stays behind to set up the warheads. Back on Earth, the 3 teams reach the server locations and dive underwater using drones and specialized tools. Hangyu's team and Beijing gains access to the server there. They immediately start working on the necessary steps to restore the internet. Around this time, lunar debris starts striking Earth, with one directly hitting Beijing's data center, flooding the insides. The shock results in a tangle of thick wires falling, egg trapping in there. He immediately summons Hangyu for help, but a jammed door prevents the latter from entering. At last, Shao makes a brave move He passes a password key to Hangyu and instructs him to leave. The debris wreak havoc, destroying cities worldwide, leading to panic as people rush towards the underground cities. At the UEG, Joe learns that they can't detonate all the warheads at the same time due to diverse models, some even requiring 712 hours. As a result of this, Joe is about to lose hope when one of his men comes up with a solution, dispatching more astronauts to the moon to trigger the warheads manually. However, it's a one-way ticket because they would have to sacrifice their lives for the same. Following this, Joe assembles all of his astronauts and reveals this as the only option. Despite the known life risk, all brave astronauts volunteer to go. At the same time, an older astronaut points out it's their duty to do this and leave the younger ones to take care of the future. With this decision, 300 astronauts over the age of 50 board the shuttles and make their way to the moon. On the moon, Liu completes the warhead setup but is surprised to see additional arriving astronauts. Sadly, he can't communicate with them due to his damaged communicator. Being a younger astronaut, he is sent back to the via a spacecraft. The UG confirms the Tokyo and Dulles servers are back online, but not Beijing. Turns out that Hangyu is struggling with connecting the key to the computer as water fills his room as well. Realizing that he doesn't have long before drowning, he uploads a copy of his own recorded consciousness into the network. Simultaneously, the astronauts on the moon detonate all the warheads, finally imploding the moon and diverting collision. However, more debris comes towards Earth, necessitating swift action by the scientists to propel the planet. Meanwhile, the water covers the entire room, causing Hangyu to drown to death. With the realization that their mission is failed, the UG issues a final goodbye message, instigating widespread panic. However, we learn that the mission isn't over yet, because Hangyu's digital mind activates inside the computer. It reunites with his daughter, and together they proceed to work on activating the server. They manage to activate it in the nick of time, moving the Earth away from the course of the lunar debris. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief and celebrates their success. All the tides come down. The scene that advances 7 years into the future, depicting that Earth has restored its 24-hour system. Zhao has retired, with his assistant assuming leadership at the UE. Now the Wandering Earth project is officially set sail in their next journey, aiming for Jupiter. That plan entails using one final boost from Jupiter to propel Earth permanently out of the solar system for good. A space station is established to review and control the engines, with Liu taking charge. In a mid-credits scene, Hangyu's digital self is addressed by AI-550W, who now goes by the personified name Morse. The now sentient supercomputer discloses its role in destroying the lunar engines and orchestrating numerous hack attacks in the past. Morse also contends the best way to preserve human civilization is by destroying mankind.